Number 9. Malfunction unusual objects in Earth orbit. Binoculars were reported by space surveillance specialists as objects detected moving through Earth's orbit in ways that did not match typical satellites or known debris. According to analysts, these objects appeared briefly on tracking systems, sometimes altering speed or trajectory before fading from observation. Their movements were described as unusual because they did not follow stable orbital paths commonly associated with artificial spacecraft or natural remnants. Monica. Researchers suggest these detections could result from limitations in tracking technology, sensor anomalies, or incomplete orbital data, especially during early space surveillance efforts. Others have pointed to classified satellites, fragments temporarily influenced by atmospheric drag, or reflections that complicate radar interpretation. Despite these possibilities, certain reports remain unexplained due to insufficient data and the fleeting nature of the observations. No definitive conclusion has been reached regarding the true nature of fast walkers. With limited documentation available to the public and many variables involved in orbital monitoring, these objects continue to raise questions about what is being observed above Earth and how much remains beyond current detection capabilities. Number 8. AHOMA French Aerospace Investigation Reports. For decades, unexplained aerial phenomena have been reported across France and formally documented by GAIPAN, a scientific group operating under the French Space Agency. According to publicly released archives, pilots, police officers, military personnel, and civilians have described objects displaying unexpected speeds, silent movement, or unusual flight paths. Each case was recorded with attention to time, location, and available physical evidence. Investigators analyzed radar data, photographs, witness consistency, and environmental factors, attempting to rule out aircraft, atmospheric effects, or astronomical sources. Many cases were eventually categorized as misidentified or explainable. However, a portion remains officially classified as unexplained, not due to extraordinary claims, but because available data was insufficient to reach a firm conclusion. Some researchers suggest these unresolved cases highlight the limits of observation, rather than evidence of something unknown. Still, GAIPAN's transparency and methodical approach have drawn international attention. Despite decades of study, no definitive explanation has been reached, leaving certain reports open and raising questions about how science addresses rare and poorly documented events in the sky. Number 7. J.L. O'Hare Airport Radar Incident. In November 2006, an unusual object was reported hovering above Chicago's O'Hare International Airport, one of the busiest aviation hubs in the United States. According to witnesses, including airline employees and ground personnel, the object appeared as a dark, circular shape suspended in low cloud cover. It was observed from multiple vantage points within the airport grounds, drawing immediate attention due to its stationary position. Air traffic controllers were notified, and standard procedures were briefly affected as observers attempted to understand what was being seen. Witnesses reported that the object remained visible for several minutes before abruptly accelerating upward, seemingly punching a hole through the cloud layer. Weather conditions at the time were later discussed as a possible factor, yet meteorological explanations have not been officially confirmed. Some researchers suggest the incident could involve atmospheric effects, optical illusions, or misidentified conventional objects. However, the consistency of independent eyewitness accounts has kept the case open to discussion. No definitive conclusion has been reached, and the event remains unexplained, raising questions about how such reports are assessed within complex and crowded airspace. Number 6. Japanese airliner Alaska encounter. In November 1986, a Japan Airlines cargo flight reported an unusual aerial phenomenon while cruising over Alaska. According to the flight crew, multiple bright lights appeared outside the aircraft, pacing it for an extended period. The captain described the objects as maintaining distance while changing position relative to the plane, prompting concern due to their apparent size and controlled movement. Air traffic control was contacted, and ground radar reportedly detected unidentified returns near the aircraft's location. These detections were discussed in official communications, yet their exact nature has not been officially explained. The crew continued to observe the lights intermittently as the flight progressed, noting that the objects did not resemble known aircraft, stars, or atmospheric reflections. Some researchers suggest the incident could involve radar interference, astronomical sources, or unusual atmospheric conditions affecting perception. Others note that simultaneous visual reports and radar data make simple explanations incomplete. No definitive conclusion has been reached, and the event remains unexplained, raising questions about how rare aerial observations are evaluated when experienced professionals report what they cannot readily identify. Number 5. RAF Bentwaters Radar Case. In December 1980, unusual aerial activity was reported near RAF Bentwaters, a military base in Suffolk, England. According to personnel on duty, radar systems detected unidentified targets moving through restricted airspace during the late-night hours. At the same time, some witnesses on the ground described strange lights maneuvering above nearby forested areas, remaining visible for several minutes. Records indicate that radar returns appeared and disappeared in ways that did not match conventional aircraft behavior. The objects were reported to change speed and direction without clear propulsion signatures. Despite internal reviews, no confirmed explanation was provided at the time, and the incident was documented rather than dismissed. Years later, the case continued to attract attention due to the combination of radar data and eyewitness testimony. Some researchers suggest the signals may have resulted from equipment limitations, environmental interference, or misidentified aircraft. Others note that these explanations do not fully account for all reported observations. No definitive conclusion has been reached, and the Bentwaters incident remains unexplained, raising questions about how radar evidence and human observation intersect in complex military environments. Number 4. Naval Sensor Encounter, Ellingen. In 2015, a U.S. Navy pilot recorded an unusual object while flying off the coast of Florida during a training mission. The object was captured by an onboard infrared targeting system and appeared to move rapidly just above the ocean's surface. According to the recording, the object maintained a steady course while the aircraft tracked it, drawing attention due to its apparent speed and lack of visible propulsion. Sensor data suggested the object was traveling faster than expected for known airborne or surface-based craft. However, analysts later noted that camera angle, distance, and tracking limitations could influence the perception of speed. Some researchers suggest the object may have been moving more slowly than it appeared, possibly carried by wind or exhibiting parallax effects that complicate interpretation. Despite multiple analyses, the footage has not been released being focusing object by the explained in a definitive way. Competing interpretations continue to be discussed in public and scientific forums. No definitive conclusion has been reached, and the GoFast incident remains unexplained, raising questions about how sensor data should be interpreted when visual and technical information appear to conflict. Number 3. Rotating object in infrared footage. In 2015, a U.S. Navy aircraft recorded an unusual object over the Atlantic Ocean using an infrared targeting camera, later known publicly as the gimbal video. According to pilots involved, the object appeared to travel against strong winds while maintaining altitude, drawing attention due to its steady motion and lack of visible wings or exhaust. The most discussed feature was its apparent rotation along a central axis while remaining on course. The footage was officially released, confirming that the recording itself was authentic, though its subject has not been officially explained. Some researchers suggest the rotation could be an optical effect caused by the camera system, glare, or changes in sensor orientation rather than the object itself rotating. Others note that the behavior appears consistent throughout the clip, making simple explanations difficult to confirm. Alternative interpretations continue to be debated in open scientific and aviation communities. Despite detailed analysis, no definitive conclusion has been reached regarding the object's structure or motion. The incident remains unexplained, raising questions about how advanced sensor systems can both clarify and complicate the interpretation of unusual aerial observations. Number 2. Unleashed impeded encounters off East Coast. Between 2014 and 2015, U.S. Navy pilots assigned to Squadron VFA-41 reported repeated encounters with unusual aerial objects while training off the east coast of the United States. According to pilot testimony, these objects were observed on advanced radar systems and visually confirmed during flight operations. Some appeared to remain stationary at high altitude for extended periods before accelerating or changing direction in ways that drew professional concern. The encounters were notable not for a single dramatic event, but for their frequency. Pilots reported seeing similar objects over multiple missions, suggesting a persistent presence within restricted training airspace. These observations were formally reported through standard military channels, emphasizing that the objects did not match known aircraft profiles or typical airborne clutter. Some researchers suggest the sightings could involve sensor calibration issues, unfamiliar drones, or atmospheric phenomena that interact unpredictably with radar systems. However, the combination of repeated detections and experienced observers has kept the cases open. No definitive conclusion has been reached, and the reports remain unexplained, raising questions about what was being encountered during routine military operations. Number 1. USS Nimitz Tic Tac Encounter. In November 2004, U.S. Navy pilots operating from the USS Nimitz reported encountering an unusual object during training exercises off the coast of Southern California. According to the pilots, the object appeared as a smooth, white, cylindrical shape with no visible wings, exhaust, or markings. It was observed maneuvering erratically above the ocean, changing altitude rapidly before accelerating away at high speed. Radars aboard nearby naval vessels also reported tracking anomalous returns in the same area, detecting objects descending from high altitude to near sea level in short periods of time. Visual contact and sensor data appeared to align, which drew further attention to the event. The object's movement did not resemble known aircraft behavior, yet no hostile intent was reported, and the encounter ended without incident. Some researchers suggest the observations could involve experimental technology, sensor errors, or misinterpretation under high-pressure conditions. However, these explanations have not been officially confirmed. No definitive conclusion has been reached, and the Tic Tac encounter remains unexplained, raising questions about how rare aerial observations are assessed when multiple systems and trained witnesses report the same event.